All right, so our equation is that part is equal to, the percent times the whole thing. The whole thing is going to be the 15,000 pounds, and the part is going to be the 2,500 pounds. So I'm just going to write this separately. You guys can fill in the boxes if you want to, but it's going to be 2,500 is equal to whatever the percent is. That's what we're trying to figure out. So that's our variable times the whole thing. We can rewrite this so it just looks a little bit nicer of an equation. But your goal here is you want your variable to be all by itself. So we're going to divide by 15,000. We're going to divide by 15,000. Now, if you're using a calculator, 2,500 gets typed into the calculator first. If you are doing this using long division, then 2,500 would go in the house. Okay, but we're going to use a calculator. So 2,500 divided by 15,000 is a nice repeating decimal. Okay, and then we know that we have to move the decimal point at some point. You're either moving the decimal point in your problem or you're moving the decimal point in your answer. So we want to make sure that we are converting this into a percentage. So we have to move the decimal point 2 places to the right. And we're going to use some rounding here, and I would say that that would be 17%. Next one, we're going to find the part. Okay, many states have a meal tax that is proportional to the total spent on food and beverage. In one state, the meal tax is 8.44%. How much tax will a customer pay if the food and beverages total is $54? So your bar diagram here is that the total amount, the 100%, is going to be the total amount of money that you are spending. We already know what the percentage is, so we want to figure out what the part is. So basically, the tax or the dollar amount in taxes is going to be the part, and that's going to be the percent times the total bill. Okay, to use that as an algebraic expression, we definitely know what the percentage is. Okay, it's 8.44%, but remember, you want to change that into a decimal. This is technically not a decimal, it's a decimal in a percent. You still have to go to the left, so your percent goes here, your tax goes here, and then we do know what the bill is. We would plug that in. Okay, but in this case, we'll just use B for bill. All right, so the part is equal to the percent times the whole, which is the tax is equal to the percent times the bill. So your tax is equal to 8.44% times the bill. We're going to convert that to 0.0844, and that is going to get multiplied by $54, which is the total amount. So that means when you do in your calculator, because there's no inverse operations here, 0.844 times 54, you're going to get this long decimal here. Just remember that money is only 2 decimal places, so you are going to have to round for your answer, and that's where you get the $4.56. All right, finding the whole thing. Again, your equation stays exactly the same. Okay, we're just plugging in the information that we have. So Jane earns a 5.5% commission on the selling price of each home that she sells. She earned $9,020 in commission on the sale of a home. What was the selling price of the home? So first thing we know is that the 5.5 is the percent. So we know what that is going to be within our equation. And we have to also know that the $9,020 is the part. It is not the whole thing. We're trying to find the whole thing. So we have our commission is going to be the part. We know what our percent is, and we know that the selling price is the whole thing. Your equation does not change, so it's still part is equal to the percent times the whole thing. So her commission is the part, and that's going to be equal to 5.5% times the price of the home. We know that the commission is $9,020. And remember, you do have to convert that percent into a decimal. It's technically not a decimal right now. It's a decimal percent. So we still have to go to the left. And then in this case, we do have to do inverse operations because we want this H to be a loan. So we're going to divide on both sides, and you're going to see that the total sale of the home, or the total price of the home, was $164,000. All right, to make a profit, a clothing store sells board shorts at 115% of the amount that they paid for them. How much did the store pay for the board shorts shown? So, same scenario, we are not changing our equation. So the part is equal to the percent times the whole thing. We are doing 115% of the amount that they paid for it. So actually, this 115 is still going to go here. I'll keep it as a percent for right now. But the whole thing is what we're trying to figure out. We're trying to figure out what they originally paid, and the part is actually going to be the $28. Because your percentage is over 100, the part's actually going to be bigger than the whole here. So 28 is going to stay the same, 115% to the left, and we're going to multiply that by the whole thing. You want the whole thing to be by itself, so we're going to do some inverse operations here. Again, if you're using a calculator, the 28 gets typed into the calculator first. If you are not using a calculator, 28 would go inside the house. Okay, and you're going to get a really long decimal here, but remember, you're dealing with money. So we are going to round here, and we get a really, really long decimal. But money is about 2 decimal places. So it's always 2 decimal places. So that 7 is going to tell the 4 to round up. So it was $24.35 that the store paid for it. And they marked it up to make a profit, and they're going to sell it to you for $28. Okay, very similar to our proportion. Everybody has a place. So your part over your whole is equal to your percent over 100. And you can still do the exact same thing using your percent equation. Your part is going to be equal to the percent times the whole thing, and you just have to plug in what you know. If you get an answer that doesn't make sense, you probably just plugged it in the wrong spot. When you guys do your work today, it's on Sabbath, so you know there's the check answer button, you know there's the hints, so you guys should be good to go, and then we'll catch up on everything when I come back on Monday.